Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti. I am MrPhotographer.com. Many of you know yesterday I posted a new video for a new video series and I'm calling it Process My Photo. Well, chalk it up to my naivete. I didn't think I'd get as many images as I've received. So, I'm just going to change things a little bit. I promised that I'd look at everyone's image and I'd have everyone's image in the video. And my initial intention was to do a video once a week, every Sunday. For this week, I'm changing that slightly. What we're going to do is, today is April 8th. I'm going to look at all the image and comment on all the images I received yesterday, April 7th. Then tomorrow, I'll do another video where we look at and comment on all the videos I've received today, and so on until this kind of peters out. After this week, going forward, I'm going to change things a little bit because obviously I can't be doing a video every single day on Process My Photo because I have other videos I need to do and things. So what I'll do going forward after this week, because this week I want to keep my promise and look at everyone's image and talk about them, is going forward after this week, I'll maybe take my favorite 20 or so and do a video on those. But then on my website, I'll have a carousel of all the images. So you could look at everyone's processing and see what they did. And maybe you could relate to something and incorporate some of their ideas into your own post-processing. So without further ado, let's get started. And I should add too, I wasn't clear in the first video. I wasn't intending on doing critiques. So I'm not really going to critique the processing per se. Just going to comment on what the photographer told me in the email. Some people told me a lot, some people told me nothing. So we'll go from there. This first image you can see is from Jeremy Tucker. Jeremy included all the settings he did. All his basic adjustment settings, his graduated filter adjustments, radial filter adjustments, everything. I'm not going to mention all those here. If you're interested in seeing what his settings were, email me and I'll send you what he sent me. But he says overall, he's happy with the edit. If anything, it's a little too dramatic. I tried toning it down a bit, but then it looked too flat. And I think a lot of us encounter that. Sometimes we walk that fine line of like overdoing it or maybe not processing it enough. So this is a very dramatic black and white image, which of course is a very popular way to process an image. This next version is from Bob Adams. He didn't send me any info about what he used to process it. But you know, you could see it's pretty straightforward process because it's a very saturated color image. It looks like he cropped it 16:9, but very cool image. I like it. The next one is Conrad Schweitzer, and also forgive me if I mispronounce your name. If I was a school teacher, I'd be one of those teachers that would sit in front of the class and continually mispronounce everyone's name. It's not on purpose. It's just because I can't speak properly. Anyway, Conrad, he did some cropping, he straightened it, he darkened the sky, desaturated it a little bit, brightened the ground, saturated that a little bit. He did some tone curve adjustment. He adjusted orange tones for the ground and blue tones for the sky. Then he did his basic tone adjustments, and he brightened the snow up a little bit. So pretty cool edit. Next is Carol Sinski. She says, first I took the image into On1 RAW, cropped it, did overall tone and white balance in Develop module, added filters and effects, then took the image into Photoshop and used Nik Pro Silver Efex Pro 2 to finish it off. My goal was to create a picture that was kind of like a lithograph in details and very soft in the sky. And you can see that is very lithograph looking. So that's pretty cool edit. A lot of times too, you know, our styles are so diverse. A lot of us like more photorealistic things, and a lot of us like maybe more, you know, alternate reality type looks or a painterly look, something like that. So that's where this comes really into something very interesting. The next edit is from Frank Lovett. Let's see here. I actually didn't think that a lot of processing was needed. And he did include some of his adjustments, his tone adjustments. And again, if you're interested in any of these, send me an email and I'll send you what Frank did to the image. He did add a graduated filter to lighten the grass in the foreground. And he did adjustment brushes to lighten all the posts. And he added a vignette at the end. So it's a pretty cool edit. The next image is from Trent Garverick. Trent says, I did basic adjustments in Lightroom, then opened in Photoshop as a smart object. I used Nik Defined, Viveza, and Color Effects Pro 2, tonal contrast and detail enhancer, selected via control points. I then applied a curves layer using fine dark and light colors auto mode. I hope I read that right. Next, I ran an action to increase color contrast. Following this, I used Nik Silver Effects to convert to black and white with slight tweaks to the orange and yellow sliders to brighten the grass. Finally sharpened with 2 high-pass filter layers with about 3 pixels in vivid light blend mode, and then about 30 pixels with soft light blend mode at about 15% opacity. So that's a pretty interesting black and white. I really like the sky in that one. Really cool. Next is Donald Goody. Sorry. Let's see. He used Lightroom to process the image, used the auto function in the basic panel, then added some clarity and dehaze and sharpening to bring out the details in the clouds and the foreground grass, radial filter to emphasize the morning light, and some contrast to darken the clouds in front of the sunrise. Finally, I cropped the image to make the sunrise the focal point with the 3 remaining groups of posts pointing toward it. This also makes the line of what I assume to be snowdrifts more visible. To this Californian's eyes, it looks like a shore break. I see what he's saying. And it does. It does look pretty cool. And I like his crop. I understand what he did. Pretty interesting. Next is Harold Berliner. Processed in Lightroom and finalized in Luminar Flex plugin. And by the way, I'll be doing a video this week on Luminar Flex. It's a new plugin by Skylum Software. In Lightroom, cloud, white balance, auto tone, dehaze, vibrant, saturation, strong contrast, transform, auto, his HSL pattern he did. So he did, pretty much Lightroom adjustments in there and then finished it off in Luminar Flex. Next is Ralph Ruenstroth. Didn't really give me any details at all, but that's his edit. Kind of a little more of a ethereal look to his shot. This is Robert Oakley. He says, I hope you're not too upset by my approach. Of course not. I want you to interpret it any way you like. This is a really cool painterly look. A lot of people are into this type of look. My sister-in-law does this. I'm horrible at it. I really can't. I don't have like a painter's eye. I can't do it. But very cool. That's what the whole idea, I think, of this video series. I'd like to see different things and be inspired. This is Peter Donen. He didn't tell me anything, but just kind of a cool black and white edit on that one. This is Roger Cutright. I first adjusted the photo in Lightroom using the basic controls, then used a Lux Lens warming filter. Then I used the Nik Collection Color Effects Pro 4, and finally I did a few touch-ups in Photoshop and resized it. Then he saved it as a JPEG. And that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Very colorful. Let's see. This is Robert White. Didn't really give me any info, but that's pretty cool edit. Pretty straightforward, I think, on that one. To give you an idea, this is probably closer to my style, I would say. Something like that. Although, at the end of the week, I'll show you my edit on the image. I don't want to give you my edit ahead of time because I don't want it to influence your edit, if that makes any sense. Bob Swanson, calculations in Photoshop, curves, back in Lightroom, little clarity. There's Bob's image. They're really kind of a dark, foreboding looking scene now. This is Jim Walsh. Jim didn't give me any info what he did on it, but there's his edit. Another black and white. A lot of black and white versions of this image. A lot of times when you have dramatic clouds, those really serve well in black and white, so that's pretty cool. This is Harvey Farr. There is no info there, but that's Harvey's rendition. Pretty cool. Next is Patrick Carriere. Let's see. Fairly new to Lightroom. Did not want to go crazy with this, so I tried to keep the picture within what I believe was the mood when you took it. Cropped to 16:9. which I personally think looks better to my eyes. Played with most of the adjustment panels, basic, tone curve, HSL, details, and effects, vignetting. And used several grad filters and brushes for specific local adjustments, and also removed some little distracting elements with the clone tool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like it. Next is John Gardner. John, another black and white rendition. I used Lightroom Classic CC Develop module. I converted the photo to black and white, then set black and white points, shadows, and highlights, increased the exposure and added clarity and dehaze. Then I used the graduated and radial filters to darken some of the lighter spots in the clouds, and to the right of the most right post near the horizon. So he darkened over in here, I guess. I tried to keep the lighter area at the horizon and a little below on the ice near the center. I added some contrast in the tone curve, medium, and -5 vignette, and he leveled the horizon. So that's pretty cool. Nice black and white rendition. This is Siegfried Liberia. He didn't give me any info of what his is. That's kind of like a HDR or tone map look of the image. Next is Roger Salveson. Roger said, I used On1 Photo Raw 2019 to process the image. Although your photo was taken around 9 a.m. in the morning, I decided to give it a sunset appearance. After some basic tone and color adjustments, I used the sunshine filter to add some brightness to the image. Then I used the masking bug in the local adjustments to darken the top and bottom half of the image, and then brushed in varying amounts of light with a few more local adjustment layers onto the wooden poles, grass, rocks, water, and ice. I also cropped the image a little afterward from the left side, and also a little bit from the top of the sky. And that's pretty cool. I like it. And Patrick J. McMullen. And Patrick didn't give me any info. That's his rendition of the image. This is another kind of tone map look. And our last version of the image was Crop Square by Mario Battigelli and Marino Battigelli. And Marino did not give me any info on what they did with their image, but there you have their rendition of the shot. I think they probably cropped it square to kind of more center the post, but pretty cool. So this is day one of our photo one. And again, I wasn't expecting to get as many, but that's fine. And I promised we'd get to all of them, and we will. So if you know what day you sent me yours, look for the very next day. I'll hopefully have the video done, and we'll talk about your image as well. And I want to just add real quick, if you're looking at the video and you see your image on my screen and it doesn't look like the image looks like when it's on your screen, that may be because your screen is not calibrated. It's very important as photographers and post-processors, more so than photographers, anyone post-processing images should have a calibrated screen. And I do have videos on how to calibrate your monitor, and it's very important that you calibrate the monitor, because most often, if you send an image to a printer and you didn't calibrate the monitor, your print's going to come back often with colors that are going to be off, and it's going to be too dark. That's because most of us probably keep our monitor's brightness level too bright. So when we send an image off to be printed, we're not getting it at the same brightness level that we think it's at. So it's important, if you're looking at your image and it doesn't look right, that you calibrate your monitor, and that will help. So, okay, this is our first episode on reviewing images. Tomorrow I'll do another one where all the images I got today, I think I got so far about the same number, so I'll probably end up getting more by the time the day's ended. So that's it. I don't want to keep talking. We're going to go from here, and we'll modify things as we go. Thank you, though, everyone that has sent images. I really do appreciate it, and everyone that's shown enthusiasm for this photos or video series. I do appreciate it. Thanks.